Well, happy Friday, fellow notaries. This is Andrea with the Secrets of Notary Success online program. I wanted to talk about money and help, or money, how it pertains to help. So I needed a translator, and my current translator was unavailable. Someone gave me a contact number of a translator, and I reached out to him via text, and he texted me back and said, "Hi, send the document, 1-page fee, such and such." And I was like, okay, not even like a greeting of thank you for reaching out to me. Is there anything else you need? Any questions? So I picked up the phone and I introduced myself to him, and I said, I need someone also to be able to speak Spanish to the client. I do speak Spanish, but I want to make sure that I have someone who's fluent, because there's some moving parts here. The translation is going to be done by you, and I'll be handling the apostille. I said, I need you to call him. I laid everything out, and I said, what is it that you need to make? And he goes, I need to make such and such. Great, no problem. So I said, can you call him for me and speak Spanish? He agreed to do it, and I proceeded with the conversation, and he goes, I'm going to have to decline this job. I said, why? He goes, I'm just going to have to decline it, but thank you respectfully. And I said, do you have a problem with your fee? And he said, well, you want me to call the client and speak Spanish to them? And I said, yes, I originally requested that of you. And I asked you, what is it that you need to make? And you told me what you needed to make. He goes, well, I go, do you want more money? Is that what the problem is? And he goes, yeah, I want $15 more to call the client to speak Spanish to them. I said, okay, fine. I don't respectfully read your mind. I asked you. Moving forward, he calls the client, and he calls me back, and he says, the client wants to meet you. He's going to drive to you and meet you. And I said, well, he doesn't have my service address, and I'm not going to be here. I'm leaving to go on the road. Is there any way that, how am I going to do this? And long story short, the person who was speaking Spanish knew I couldn't converse 100% fluently. I can, but I needed some help. You knew he needed my service address. You knew these other details were needed. And I honestly felt like I was inconveniencing this person. Later on, I found someone who was a single mother with 3 kids. She did the job. She did the job with a smile on her face, drove the extra mile to drop off the document, and thanked me and asked me for future business. Conversely, the notary who wasn't so helpful later on sent me a text saying it was a pleasure to speak with me. And by the way, here is an apostille intake form. Well, I guess I appreciate the intake form. I did tell him I've been in business for 20 years. I am open-minded to learning new methods or techniques on how to get things done, but I really don't need an intake form. I needed you to help me and help the client. And I was truly concerned that I was going to leave this client hanging because they needed my help. So I hope this message has a lot of undertones. Sometimes it pays just to do a tiny bit extra to help people in this industry. I'm not asking you to drive 5 miles. I'm not asking you to print any documents. I just wanted you to talk to the client, which was what I was willing to pay you to do. But attitude is everything. And helping people should actually be senior to money, because when you help people, the money will follow. Bye for now.